let's take a look at our top selections for the... Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. It's Louisiana Derby Saturday at the fairgrounds, and one of the important co-features is for older horses. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 2 New Orleans Classic. This race is carded as race number 11. And Mike, I can certainly understand anyone that's looking for a price in this race. The number 2 Owendale is 9-5 on the morning line. He is a very likable horse. He just doesn't win very often.
Yeah, I agree with that, Dan. He's the kind of horse that you don't really want to knock as the favorite. He's very consistent. He's pretty talented. He shows up and he runs every time. He just doesn't win that often. I still think there's questions about, what his best distance is. And in a race like this, Dan, where it just feels like maybe somebody can get aggressive and get out there on the lead in a race without much pace, and that could also work against Owendale.
That's a really nice segue into our Timeform US pace projector. We know that Owendale likes to sit near the back of the pack, and they have him close. And here's why Timeform US has him close. They don't see any speed in this race whatsoever. It could be a virtual crawl. Owendale was up close in the Pimlico Special. He was beaten, though, as the favorite that day. I wonder if Roadster, coming off of a long layoff, is going to show fresh speed from the rail.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, the pace is the key to the race. I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to get aggressive with Roadster off of the long layoff. He's not exactly a speed horse either, but listen, somebody's got to take up the running here, Dan.
It's a very interesting placement for Roadster. Let's go back to his last race. This race is almost 400 days ago in the Grade 2 San Carlos, going 7/8 of a mile. He was out-sprinted early. He's going to pick up some tired horses and finish second to favored Flagstaff, who has not won since. He was trained by Bob Baffert for this start. He went to the long layoff. He has had a lot of breathing problems. He had quarter crack issues over the winter that caused him to miss a few workouts. I think it's really interesting that Michael Stidham's going to run him a demanding 1 1/8 off of this long layoff.
Yeah, I think he's interested in here too, Dan, just because it just feels like whether he'll get the distance or not right off the bench, it just feels like they found a good spot for him. It's not, the strongest graded stakes race in the world. Personally, I'm still a Roadster fan. I feel like he's one of the Bafferts who maybe fell out of favor a little bit as time went on. I'm still a fan of his. I don't like his running style that much, but as you say, maybe they'll get aggressive here and he'll get forward.
Of course, he won the Santa Anita Derby in 2019, but I think Bob had a problem figuring out what distance is good for this horse, because not only did he win the Santa Anita Derby, but then he would run a big race in the Del Mar Futurity sprinting, and then a good race in the Damascus sprinting, and then a good race in the Affirmed routing. Now, he's lost races at short prices. You have to deal with the long layoff. Stidham has a long layoff horse in our Friday race of the day for these same connections. Maybe you'll see how that one does at Oaklawn. He has generally good numbers off the bench. Owendale is the number 2. This horse was third in the Razorback last time out in his seasonal debut. I don't know, Mike. I thought the rail was not good that day. If you watched the race, it seemed like all the jocks were avoiding the rail, and Owendale was kind of stuck down there most of the way.
Yeah, that's true. It could be a valid excuse for him in that race. Prior to that, his Clark, he earned a triple-digit buyer in there, getting third, although I didn't, love that performance from him. He ran fine. I guess that's the overall, story with Owendale, Dan. He's a really, really nice horse. Whether you want to take him at short prices in races like this, that's up to you. If you feel like he's in the right spot here, fire away. I kind of wanted somebody else if he's going to be the favorite.
One of the horses he finished against in the Essex, Rated R Superstar. He came back to run second in the Essex with a 97 buyer, finished ahead in the Razorback. Ollie My Boy is interesting because he has a lot of upside potential, Mike. This horse benefited from a very fast pace to win last time out for Mark Casse, but he's found a home on dirt, hasn't he, after starting his career for most of his career at Woodbine on synthetic surfaces. While he did get a good pace scenario, I thought he really ran.
Yeah, I did too. I like the fact that he's shown that he can take his game over to the main track. And he was actually, I thought anyway, pretty good on synthetic up in Canada. It didn't work out for him in the Queen's Plate. I wouldn't be too hard on him for that race. If you go back and watch it, not only was it just a pace-dominated race, but to me, he got a terrible wide trip that day. I liked his win last time. As you say, the setup was there for him, but he really ran. And I also liked his dirt debut 2 starts back then. That was a slower pace. He made an early move to get himself into range of it. And he finished very well again. I think this horse is pretty good.
He might need that trip from 2 starts back. He needs to stay within range and maybe make an early move and turn this into a bit of a stamina contest. Captivating Moon is the number 4. This horse pulled off a big upset on turf. He's cross-entered in the Muniz Memorial on turf. Conventional wisdom makes me think he's going to run on that surface. He's okay on either surface.
He can handle either one. I personally feel like he's a better turf horse, but even if you think he's going to go in that race, you got the money with him last time.
I really had hoped that Enforceable was going to put it together last time out in the mine shaft. This horse won the Lecomte in 2020. He never really panned out after that. And 2 starts back over this surface, he just popped a gigantic Beyer speed figure, and maybe he was starting to mature at the right time. He was awful in the mine shaft.
Yeah, that's the problem for me too, Dan. I think most everybody wanted to see what he would do in the mine shaft last time, and he felt like maybe a real wild card in that race. And he came crashing back down to earth.
I do think the additional distance could help him out. I think the 6 Chess Chief is a little bit of a sleeper for Dallas Stewart. He's always done well at the fairgrounds. They ran him in the mine shaft. He was relatively close to that pace. There was a runaway winner, and he stayed on decently for 30. Just seems to be improving this form cycle for Dallas Stewart. Not the most prolific winner in the world, but he has tactical speed and he loves the track.
Yeah, he can get a good trip in this race. I think that's what you maybe would like about him more than anything else. Also, he has an aggressive rider coming in to take over here in Saez, so don't be surprised if he tries to get this horse to the front. I could go either way on him, Dan. I would wait to see what kind of price he is. I thought he ran fine in the mine shaft last time. Not that he was necessarily going to win, but the 1-2 finishers got the jump on him there, and I thought he did well to be third at the end. I wonder if he has a forward move in him. I don't know if he does have another forward move in him, but this is a race he could win.
Can't knock the 7 Mosito Rojo, a 30-1 shot. All he's done in his career is win 18 of 34 lifetime starts. And you could argue not only was he pace compromised in his final start as a 6-year-old, he was also in against Maxfield, one of the better horses in the country, and he had no shot. It did seem to me, though, that his form was tailing off at the end of last year. This break likely to do him some good. I just wonder, I know he is a graded stakes winner at Churchill Downs. I wonder if maybe he's getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, that was my concern with him too. I mean, clearly, if you want to go back to 2019, this horse could easily win this race. And back then, he had a lot of speed too. He would be forward in his races. So if he can somehow get back to those races, he's very dangerous in here. I mean, personally, if he's going to be, the longest shot on the board in here, I'm not arguing with anybody who thinks they can revive him.
And the number 8, Sonneman, it always hinted at ability. It looks like he is beginning to find his way for Steve Asmussen and Cortland Farms. This horse was second in the mine shaft. Now, he was second to Maxfield, who came back and popped a 99 Beyer, went third in the big cap, and the 4th place finisher came back to win an allowance race at Oaklawn with a 99 Beyer. So he's coming out of a live race. He has some tactical speed. We'll see how he gets the mile and an 1/8. He's bred to get it.
He is bred to get it. He's a perfectly fine horse. I feel like maybe you're starting to get to the point with Sonneman, though, where you have to start asking yourself if he's ever going to get to that, top graded stakes level. Dan, he's pretty good. I don't know if he's this good right now. He's another horse who it feels like, the way this pace is projected to lay out, it's not going to help Sonneman. He doesn't really have any early speed. I don't know. To me, he was a very uninteresting price on the line.
Top pick time for the Grade 2 Norlands Classic. Mike, you're going with Ollie My Boy. Again, this horse has all the upside potential. We've likely seen Owendale's best race. I doubt we've seen Ollie My Boy's best race. And he'll be kicking on in the long fairground stretch. Best of all, he will be a price.
That's why I took him, Dan. I can't sit here and say that I love him in this race, but I am a fan. I do think he's pretty good. And I do think he's one of the maybe few horses in here who could still improve again. And maybe take a forward move in this race and get it done. I don't love him, but I don't want the favorites.
I was not as big of a Roadster fan as you were when he was running consistently, so maybe it's a bit odd that I pick him on top here. I'm just not really enamored with any of the Fairgrounds handicap horses not named Maxfield, and he's not in this race. I think Roadster, this is a reboot, and maybe he'll show some speed from the start for a very good trainer in Stidham. 3-1-2-7 for Mike, 1-2-8-3 for me. It's the Grade 2 Norlands Classic. Good luck.